Hello, my beautiful Red Nail Energy community. This is Mikhail, and today I'm so excited to be sitting down with Adria Tenner. Adria is an accomplished actress, writer, director, and producer, recognized for her roles in Mad Men, The Artist, and the series Fetish. Beyond her artistic achievements, Adria has navigated profound personal challenges, including a devastating divorce, deep personal losses, and the harrowing experience of the California wildfires. In our conversation today, we're going to talk to Adria about her journey of rebuilding from the ground up and the transformative power of starting over. So welcome to the pod, Adria.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Thanks for having me.
yeah,
I'm excited.
me too. For anyone that might not be familiar with your work, can you just kind of jump in and share a bit about who you are and the things that you're most proud of creatively?
Yeah. Um, I have been an actor and a writer and now a filmmaker for 30 plus years. I think the things that I am most proud of, like acting wise, are Mad Men. I got the job on that show before it started to air. And then once it started airing, I was like, oh my God, I'm on this really cool show. That was really, really a special, cool thing. Um, and I loved doing Mad Dogs. I've been on Friends. I'm just naming the things that people like probably have heard of. I really had a lovely little cute role on Greek, and I loved those people and doing that. And also got to be in the film The Artist, which was
Yeah.
also the same as Mad Men. Like I got the script for this thing. It was like really thin because there was no dialogue, and I was told it was black and white, and I just, thought this is probably going to show in some bumfuck,
Right.
like film festival in Wisconsin. No one's going to see this, but cool. And then it just became this huge thing and such a special thing to be in. And the way I ended up getting that job is also a kind of an amazing story as well. So, um,
Yeah.
and then like I just am really proud of the films that I've made, and yeah, the stage play that I wrote, Strip Search. Really love doing solo performance, and my film Pie with Jessica Pare is one of my highlights.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Just so I'm sure you could just keep going too, which is amazing. Having had such a dynamic career, not only in the acting side, but then with directing, producing, writing. When did you know, even in like childhood, maybe that storytelling and performance was kind of going to be a big part of your profession?
Um, I got so much positive reinforcement with my writing. I was sent to some like creative writing camps because they thought I liked to write limericks,
Hmm.
and poetry and stories. And I never really thought about writing. My grandma took me to see Annie when I was 6, and I just wanted to like leave home and be in that show. And my mother thought, oh, you're going to outgrow that. And now she feels bad that she didn't take me downtown. But I can't sing, so that's fine. um, yeah, I think that the moment that I understood that maybe I was good at writing is when I just had this burning. I was going through this period in my life where I just really wanted a boyfriend. I really wanted a partner in crime. Not I didn't need to get married. I just wanted like someone to go out with on my night off and like have dinner,
Hmm.
or put makeup on and red nails.
There
And
you go.
um yeah, I just was like perpetually single. I could never find anybody good enough, or like I don't want to say that, but just like I just couldn't find somebody that I liked that liked me
Mhm.
back. And I had all my friends were married and they just didn't understand this. And I just felt compelled to write about it.
Mhm.
And I did, and was in an acting class and said, can I perform this monologue I wrote? And everyone was like, yeah, okay. And I did that. And my teacher was just like, this is awesome. You have to come back next week and do it at the top of the class before everyone disperses. And that was a really big lesson. In I just thought, like, I don't know why I really want to share this very specific personal experience, I'm sure no one is going to understand this or get this because it's so personal.
Mhm.
But actually, it taught me this huge lesson that the more personal and the more specific, the more universal it is.
Mhm.
Um, so now when I see other people, like I follow Laura Bell Gray and um, who's the other people? Who are the other people? Just like that's the key to
Yeah,
writing. Like really, just naming it, being specific, and that's also I think why AI cannot replace that. It
right.
just can't. It just
Yeah.
can't do it either.
There's so much like nuance and layer to the human experience that we can't make robotic. And that's where even, like Taylor Swift comes to mind. She's so specific in her lyrics. And it's something that it's like, I left my cardigan at your sister's house. Okay, well, that's a very specific situation. But when people listen, it brings you there with them. And so with your storytelling, it's like the more nuanced and personal, and even like to the degree of it being so specific, I think it makes it so connecting. And you shared a video with me that you open up about your divorce and kind of the events preceding, and the whole time I watched it, I just kept being like, I'm her, she is me, like we are the same. And that's what writing and storytelling does. It like humanizes people that maybe otherwise would see each other and think like, oh, we don't have a lot in common. And when someone's willing to open up, it's like, oh my gosh, we are all so much more similar than we are different.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it paints the picture, and it lets us be like we are the mirror. Yeah, so you
Yeah,
can see yourself.
100%. Well, with your kind of anecdotes of The Artist and Mad Men, like receiving something before, you didn't really have an idea of what it was going to become. And then all of a sudden it turned into something you never could have imagined, I think is kind of a beautiful anecdote to your life right now of maybe having some areas that you've mentioned rock bottom, you're kind of rebuilding. So I'd love to dive into some of those rock bottoms you've had and kind of what that looked like and what the insights have come up of moving forward and rebuilding.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it. Let's dive in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. What should I say? What should I answer?
I mean, I
So
would
that's why
love
we're
to
going to
just,
talk about rock bottom. What did that look like?
yeah, what does
I
that look
mean, I
like and what
remember
are,
the question that you asked about like, um, my husband said out of the blue,
yeah,
out of the blue, that he had been unhappy for a long time and that he was leaving. And honestly, I just felt like, then go. Like, I really just felt like if you are going to stand here in front of me after everything, I had forgiven him for cheating on me. I had, stuck by him. He'd made some pretty bad business decisions in the last year of our marriage. And I was like, people make mistakes. That's what happens. Um, but I just felt like if you want to go, then you should go. Like, I don't want to be with, I don't want to be with you.
yeah.
So,
That's
um,
so difficult. I think that so often, especially in some of the, personal experience I know that you've had in the past, it was like, as you said, you went to therapy, you had this relationship now that was like, all right, we've got through the hard things. I've stayed, I've chosen you, I've continued to be in the weeds with you. And so then what was that like in that moment where he just barged home late and said, I'm done, I'm leaving? Like what did you experience in that?
um, yeah, I felt like, wow, I've spent 16 years with this person who doesn't get me,
Mhm.
he just doesn't even see me, because if he did, he wouldn't want to get rid of it, like he wouldn't want to ditch it. Um, I felt like I had chosen really carefully and really well. When I was, I think I was 16, that the movie, I'm going to age myself. You're going to all know how old I am. I saw the movie Heartburn with Meryl Streep, which was, and Jack Nicholson, which was Nora Ephron's, basically her biography of her marriage to, I can't remember the journalist's name, but it shook me to watch that like you could marry someone and they could just like cheat on you. That could happen. And my mom sat me down and she said, no, when you get married, you will know in your heart if that person would do that to you. You may think like, oh, they would never do that to me. But if they do it to anybody, they would do it to you.
Mhm.
You'll know, Adria, you'll know. And that just like, I took that to heart. I took that, like that was, I felt so much better. And so I think that's why like I went through that period where I was single forever because I really was picking carefully and I really picked carefully.
Mhm.
So it was so destabilizing to find out that I had picked wrong, because I had discovered a few years earlier that he was cheating on me. He just apologized. He did everything you'd want someone to do if that happened. And actually, I was grateful that it happened because my marriage finally became what I always wanted it to be. There was this like trust, and he did everything he could do to make me feel trust, better, supported. So that just, I honestly feel like, and a lot of my friends have also said, like, it's like something hit him on the head, like that's kind of what those head injuries do. They can change your personality, like shards of skull can like pierce your brain
Right.
matter and
Yeah.
like just fuck you up.
Yeah.
And I really like that's what it feels like. It felt like this person just like totally changed.
Mhm.
The sad thing is that as I had to go through all of this legal stuff and had to find all these papers,
Mhm.
and in doing so found these bank statements that had, hotels, hotel rooms from like I think it was, let's see, yeah, like just 6 or 7 years after we were together for 16 years. And what he had told me when I found out that he was cheating on me was that it had only been for 8 months and it had only been 3 times. And so that found that it had just been for like years, literal years, so
Mhm.
long. Um, so I don't know, that just really made me feel like, can I even trust my guts?
Right.
I feel like
Yeah.
I'm a super intuitive, emotionally evolved person. And yeah, I just, now I have to, I have to just think, like, I really take a poll with my friends. Like, this is what I feel.
Right. Yeah. Getting
Do-
back to that self-trust
yeah,
where, especially from that conversation with your mom, which is so pivotal, I'm sure, because it gave you certainty. And as human beings, that's all we want. We want certainty. We want like it's yes or it's no. It's going to happen again. It's not. I can control this. I can't. And I think that interpersonal relationships are the biggest example to us that we cannot control other people. And it does not matter. You could have this person that with certainty they'll never cheat on you and they could get hit by a bus the next day. Like there's still no certainty, within the relationships. But as human beings, we just crave that. We want to know. And I can relate to that so much in previous situations of like all my friends being like, what do I have to do to make sure this never happens again? And I think for me, it's not even so much about that anymore. It's like, how can I position myself so I'm okay? And I want love to come in and out of my life. I want there to be relationships that stay. And also, I've built such a strong foundation that like my whole world will not dissolve if one person steps away.
yeah, yeah.
But in that moment, was there a part of you at first that wanted to stay or beg or like we can fix this? Or what was the first kind of thought?
Well, I did, and he just like, I think that really got him off too. And I
Mhm.
want to I want to go back to the whole mom thing
Yeah.
because I don't feel like, look, my mother really felt like what she was saying was true, and it comforted me. But
Mhm.
if I don't have a daughter, if I had a daughter or a friend and that came up for us, I would say, you know what? Anything can happen. Anything can happen. But you're going to be okay no matter what, like you've got the goods to like
Yeah.
carry on no matter what happens.
Yeah.
Um, but then going back to what did I do? I did beg him not to go. but it wasn't for me. It wasn't like, I need you. And I think I think he really felt like that. But I was like, you're making a giant mistake that you're going to regret. Please don't do this. Don't do this in the heat of like whatever this is. Like, it was so rash. It was so out of the blue. It was so like, it was so weird. And you don't, talk about these things. Like, if there's something wrong in the relationship, like, we have mechanisms to work on it. Like, just like, we have 16 years together. We had a wedding, and I understand, like, when I got married, like, I got like, oh, this is why people get married, because you stand up in front of all the people that you care about and swear to each other that you're going to be together. And then our wedding photos we had beautiful photos. My friend Lisa Francho took like these amazing photos that we hung in our hallway. That we had a long, like, kind of ranch house. And I just felt like, we're just gonna just get rid of that.
Throw it away. Yeah.
And I really said to him for 1 month, I said over and over, like, please don't do this. Like, I mean, he moved out, but I just, for 1 month, I was like, you're gonna regret this. And he just had to go. He just had to blow it up. And I got tired of listening to myself for that entire month tell people over and over the story. And as I told it over and over, of course, I'm hearing it. I'm telling it to myself. And I just felt like, I don't want to be with this person who would do this awful thing that I am describing. So at the end of 1 month, we both decided, like, okay, that's it. And several months later, he said to me, you're my best friend, and I really care what you think. You've always been my best friend, and I'll always care what you think. And I said, well, I think you should not have blown up our marriage. And he said, yeah, you're right. But it was like, by that point, it was too late. And I just thought, like, okay, if it was me and I had done something like that and realized, no matter when, that I had made a big mistake, I would go to the person and say, I made a big mistake. I'm sorry.
Right.
But he wasn't that person. And so I guess I just don't want to be with somebody who wouldn't do the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah, you did. Absolutely. And earlier in our conversation, when you kind of got to that point of like, okay, I've been very diligent and very selective of who I chose. And I chose this person that I really felt was intentional. And when everything happened the way that it did, and you felt internally like I picked wrong, how have you learned how to kind of reconcile that within yourself? Like, it wasn't you, it wasn't your doing. Like, how, moving forward, how have you learned how to sort of separate that?
That has been difficult because I want to do everything right. That's like, I really want to be a good girl. And I really wanted to do what my mom told me to do and pick well. And I think I picked well. I obviously went to a bunch of therapy after this happened. And my therapist, one of them, said, Adria, you're trying to make sense of a crazy person. He's not well. And you're trying to make sense of that. It's like, it's like you're talking to someone who's diabetic, who's, not able to metabolize sugar. He's not able to metabolize sense because and I don't think that he always was like that. I don't, but here's the other thing. I mean, sociopaths, and I don't want to call them a psychopath, but sociopaths are really good. That's why they are who they are. They are really good at making you think that they care, that they are invested, but they aren't. So again, like, I guess I just have decided that, like, I picked really well, and that he got hit in the head or something, like something shifted, something shook him,
Yeah. Out
something.
of your control. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really important note. And that I loved it, like, gave me chills when you said I picked well. I think as women, it's such a first defense of like, how could I have changed this? I did something bad. I did something wrong. This was my fault. And if we could all just give ourselves the gift of saying, like, not only I picked well, I picked as good as I could have with the information I had at that time. Like, as we grow, as we evolve, as we have experiences, thank goodness we can learn from them. Thank goodness we can look back and say, you know, love looks different for me in the future. My most important qualities might be a little bit different than they were when I was 20 and dating, or, you know, whatnot. But I think it's such a gift to yourself and to anyone listening to be able to think about things that we consider mistakes or like we were bad, and instead just give ourselves the gift of saying, I did my best. Like, I chose good in that situation. Maybe I wouldn't choose the exact same thing in if I was given this chance knowing what I know now, but we often just like hold ourselves in these mistakes, and it's like trudging through cement to get out of it. And sometimes it is as simple as being like, this is what happened. I did my best. Here's where I am now. How do I move forward? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'd love to know what that kind of has looked like for you. Like what has moving forward, you know, even in those first few days after, but then now as you are a little bit further out, like what does that look like?
Well, I think, and like when you were just talking, I was thinking about how we are conditioned, at least I was in my generation. I feel like I'm a bit older, that, you know, you're supposed to get married and you're supposed to stay with that person forever. My parents are still married. Um, and I do like that idea. And I do think that, you know, it's important to not think that things are disposable, especially in marriages. And I also think that marriage really isn't about the good things. It's really about how you make it through the bad times. That's a marriage. That's a marriage. How you learn and grow and get through that and to the other side, and to like the good stuff again, and then coming back again probably to a bad patch. Um, for me, this whole thing has reflected to me that I have always thought that I needed a partner to do what I wanted to do, to own a home, to own a business, to have the life that I want to have, to be able to provide myself the life I want. I have to do that with a partner. And you know what? It is 100% easier. I don't know. I mean, it is. It's like dual incomes are really helpful. And it's nice. But I don't need that. And men don't think that. Men don't think like I need a partner. I mean, I'm being very sexist in general, but
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
I'm generalizing. Yes. But I think we are conditioned that way. And if you look at Disney movies, that's what we learn. We learn that. So I just think this has been about me learning, and that is what it is, right? It's not about picking perfect. It's about learning from your mistakes. It's what it's about, is making the mistakes and learning and growing. So I feel like this has just given me the opportunity to understand my full potential. Is not that I need anyone to do this with me. I can do it on my own. And I'll tell you what, there's so many times where I'm like, because I'm building a business right now, and I don't need to. I don't need to. I've figured out a way, you know, I've gone back to waitressing and catering, and now I'm teaching, and I love the teaching. And I don't dislike the waiting on tables. I don't. I love it. I love being in the restaurant business. And I have, you know, I reconcile that. Like I'm not proud. Like it's fine. It's where I'm at. Like
Right.
I own a home and I
Mhm.
pay the mortgage and I live really nicely. I have a, a new car that I bought, and
Mhm.
that's what I have to do to have all those things. I'm sure I could live without a lot of that stuff and, figure it out, but that's what I want. Um, but I want to build a business. I can build a business by myself.
Mhm.
I mean, it's been difficult and it's taking a lot longer than I think it should or want it to. But I feel like, no, Adria, this is what it is.
Mhm.
You have always felt like you can't do this or that you need someone to do it with you, and you don't.
Mhm.
Do it.
Yeah.
It's not just for me. I really feel like, I mean, I'm doing this for myself, but it's also for the daughters and the sisters and the ladies, like I want us all to have this, and not that I'm this like big role model, but that we can do this, that we
Yeah.
can do this ourselves, that we don't need this archetype of the Disney princess who needs the prince.
100%. And I think that, again, everyone is doing the best they can with what they have. So that's not to say that the moment with your mom wasn't incredible and amazing. And like you said, that there was something ill-intended. It was from the best place. But it again gave me like an overwhelming feeling of emotion of what would it be like if all little girls were given that idea that you can do anything you want to do. You can do anything on your own. Partnership, friendship, other people, connection, and community is a human experience. It's what it's about. And also, you don't need someone else to give you permission to be amazing and great and huge in whatever you want to be in. And I think that these conversations matter so much because there could be a 5-year-old listening and that impacts the rest of their life. And there could be a 55-year-old listening that goes, holy shit, I've never been told that. I've never realized I have that within me. It doesn't, it spans across all ages, generations, everything, because it's this underlying belief that we can. And I just think that if there was more of that, it's not to disrupt the traditional norms of people that are married and in partnership or in like a
Mm.
hetero normative relationship. It's instead just saying like that, and you can do anything you want to do, which I just think is so powerful and so needed right now when there is so much outside noise of gender norms and roles and women need to sit down and be quiet, and there's all these things happening that I just think a quiet strength of being like, girl, you can do whatever you want to do, like you've got this, is what will end up changing the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be in that weird order that we've decided, that like you meet someone, you get married, and you start, your family or your home and whatever, that you can spend. My mom did say that to me. She said, please, please, before you get married, do all the things you want to do by yourself, because it's going to be harder to make that work out with somebody else. You don't have to rush into getting married. So yeah, that
Yeah,
there doesn't have to be this weird order to it.
even just that, I mean, the conversations I have end up speaking to me so much, and it's things I didn't know that I maybe needed to hear. I'm 35, I'm not married, I don't have kids. Those are both things that I'd love to have in my future, and I'm not opposed to having children on my own, like, but I think that sometimes hearing those things, like your mom spoke to me in that, like, do all the things you want to do. I've done that, and I have to reconcile all the time. I'm behind. The ship has sailed without me. I've missed the boat. And I think that it's like, it's so important to do away with that timeline. Like you said, it doesn't have to be in a specific order. And I think that we're all on our own specific journeys and maybe learning lessons that we were put here to learn. And so for me, my like biggest universal lesson has been exactly echoing what you said, recognizing my own strength and power and not giving that away or thinking that I'm less than. I live in Idaho. The first thing that happens if I run into someone from high school, they've got 17 kids on their hips and they're like, are you married? And I'm like, oh no. And they're like, oh honey, it'll happen for you. And I'm like, I mean, I've written a book and I have an amazing job I love and I have a podcast and I do, like, do you care? I'm happy. Do you care? Do you care about that? We don't often ask people, are you happy? It's so much more like, are you checking the boxes of what society has said you've been put on this earth to do?
Yeah.
And I just think we have to do away with that.
Yeah. I think another thing that I realized with all of this disruption is that the people that I want to meet and attract, I can't meet them if I'm not doing the things that I'm meant to be doing. If I'm not, if I haven't reached my full potential in my life, then I won't be near the people that are going to be there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah.
Yeah, you have to sometimes release maybe like invisible shackles or anchors around your ankles you didn't even know were there to kind of reach the spaces you were meant to go and align with the people you were meant to align with. And sometimes that feels really scary. It's like maybe putting boundaries up in relationships that used to be boundaryless or really take up a lot of energetic real estate, and you realize like this is really scary to put a boundary up, and then all of a sudden something amazing comes in that space that was created, and it's like, oh my gosh, that was the point the whole time. But often if we're not brave enough to kind of make those decisions and changes, you know, it holds us in this space. I mean, there's this quote, we will choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. Time and time again, we will choose what we know rather than make this decision to actually be somewhere that feels much better because it's what we know. And I think that that's such a great point of being clear and honest with yourself on like who and what you want to attract. And then what does that look like to get in those spaces? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd love now to kind of take a little pivot in another aspect. You know, you had some emotional and relational disruption that happened with your divorce and moving forward and the businesses and those things happening. And then you navigated the fires. How did that experience continue to shape almost like the universe saying, what happens if we take every single thing away? You know, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I also feel like we had COVID, and that was really devastating because the businesses I owned with my ex-husband were restaurants, and our divorce was being settled during COVID, which meant that our restaurants were completely devalued. So, and I'm sure they're now worth a lot, right? Um, so there's that. And then we've had the strikes in Los Angeles. And that is just, but those two things have just devastated the entertainment industry. And so I no longer had my income from my restaurants, and my income as an actor has just been like flatlined. It's super hard. And then, and then now in January, we've had the fires. I mean, I feel like it is, and I wrote about this in my little, I wanted to answer the questions written. I mean, while the fires have affected me, my city, my income as well, because a lot of those catering events are for people that lived in the Palisades. A lot of, I work with a private chef, and a lot of his clients are there. They know each other, right? They all know each other. And so he would be referred, and that was like his clientele. I am safe. My home is totally fine. So uh, mm, I feel a little awkward trying to paint myself as a victim of the fires because I did not lose my home. Um, so there's that. I feel super grateful. I feel quite a bit of survivor's guilt. But I just don't feel comfortable talking about being too much of a victim of the fires. I also feel like we don't know how this is going to, reverberate, we've had COVID, we've had the strikes, and now we have this. I just don't know how it's going to affect the city. The city of Los Angeles is really it survives on the entertainment business. I mean, there's other stuff here, right? But it's a big part of our community.
Right.
It's huge. So that is a little scary. I don't know how this is gonna, I mean, there's already stuff that's happening with work not being here, and yeah. I don't know how to really, I don't know if I can even really talk about how that's gonna pan out, the fires.
Yeah, it's hard to know. You can't predict the future, and yeah, it's a tricky one. Within all of those different moments of just kind of ups and downs and having uncertainty, especially, I'm hearing a lot of echoes of that. Like, where's the income going to come from? When's the next job going to be booked? Maybe in acting. What gets you through those moments of deep uncertainty? Like when you truly don't know, what kind of gets you through, or what do you lean on, or what kind of mindset do you have to have in order to keep going?
This is a very existential question, because the way I am now, a big part of my income is teaching, and that is the business I am growing. I am teaching people how to be actors, and I don't know if I know how to do that anymore. Like, I definitely know how to act, but I don't know if I know how to get jobs anymore, because there aren't very many to get.
Right.
I see a lot of my peers, and I agree, and that's, why I wrote that piece. Besides the fact that that's how I heal, that's what I feel like I'm meant to do, is write about the stuff that's happened, that's been hard, and how I get through it. But that is okay. So that's how it all circles around here, is creating my own work has always been the thing that lights me up when I feel like there's no point and no one cares. I've always gotten amazing reception to whatever I put out. So at the moment, it's difficult because I'm working so hard to pay the bills. So I'm doing all these jobs and also working to grow this business. So I just don't feel like I have the bandwidth, because to write things, you need time. It's like you can't just like be like, oh, I've got 15 minutes. I think I'll do some writing. It takes you, like days to get your head wrapped around whatever it is you're writing and be in it. And then if there's like a series of days that are you're just not able to time-wise get yourself back into that piece, then it's like another, you know what I mean? So I was making myself, I think am I making any sense? I was making myself crazy trying to write and do everything else, build a business and wait tables. So I took a pause to write that piece and perform that piece in November. And I'm glad I did that. And I tried to like stay in it, but I just was like, you know what? I'm feeling bad about everything. I'm not feeling good about the writing. I'm not feeling good about the business, because I'm just not doing any of it well. I don't know if I'm even answering your question. I feel like I'm.
No, yeah, it's great.
I guess what I keep telling myself is, and I tell this to my students who are like, oh, I'm doing this and it's just not happening. It's not the arrival. It's not getting the job. I mean, that's amazing. That's lovely. But it's really about the journey. And I hate that. It's so cliche and so annoying, but I'm really working on being where I am and just being like, okay, this is where I am and this is what's happening. And I've got to be here. The only way out is through. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful message and reminder. And there are moments for me going back to the, future visions of family and maybe kids running around in a house of chaos that I have to intentionally be where I am and say there will be moments in my future where I will miss this. I will miss that in between. I will miss pulling up to my quiet house that I can do whatever I want. I don't have to answer to anyone. I don't have little hands reaching for me and asking for things over and over again. And it's so hard to do when your mind is trying to get you to the next thing, like you said, to the arrival. But when we look back on our life, yeah, we might remember some of those arrivals, but we will remember a lot more of the grit that took us to get there, or the path that was unexpected, or the people we met along the way. And I think that that's the whole point. And we often miss the point because we're just trying so hard to get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think, I mean, like, I think like when I look back, just even looking back at that period where I really, 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 really wanted a partner, a boyfriend or whatever, um, if I could have talked to this Adria, I just know that I would have been like, don't worry, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna happen. And then it's gonna happen, and then it's gonna be awful again. And then, so I guess I think about that when I'm feeling shitty or sad or like, what the fuck, that in a year or 5 years or whatever, I'm going to look back at this time and be like, see, it was all going to work out. It's all going to work out. Yeah.
Yeah. And when your track record is 100% so far of getting through anything that's been thrown your way, you can always rest on that too. And I think about that often. Like, how many times have I felt this way where I've said, there's no way, this is it, this is the end, there's no point. Like, I've faced the one thing I'm not going to get through. And then you get through it. And that builds so much resilience. And I imagine is going to continue, and probably already has, to impact your creative process beautifully. I mean, it's like, give a writer fresh material and watch out, world. The minute you go through something that kind of cracks you open, I'm sure your creative process also benefits from that in ways.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that you asked me at the beginning, like, what are the things that I'm most proud of creatively? And the film that I made with Jessica and my partner, my producing partner, Cindy Napton, Pie, it was inspired by discovering that my husband had been cheating on me. And that was like probably at that time, the most painful thing that had ever happened to me, the most devastating, destabilizing thing. And I created this piece of work that is like a calling card. And I was looking for managers just a few years ago, and that, pieces of that are on my demo reel. And that was the thing that everybody was like, that's amazing. We want that girl. And I made that all by myself.
Hell yeah.
Out of
I love
something
that.
horrible. I spun gold out of poop.
Yeah, there you go. Title of the episode right there. So beyond the business building, which is wonderful, and I have no doubt you'll be so successful in, what are the most important things that you're focusing on? And what's kind of the most important part of this chapter that feels relevant?
Well, my father had a heart attack about a year ago, and is still with us. And so, there's also like, I think just getting over the urgency culture. It's taken me a while. You said, 35 or 55, and I will be 55 this year. And as a woman and as an actress in Los Angeles, like, we're just taught that, like, you don't have any time. You got to do it now. You're not, you're only going to be 20 for a little bit. Well, I'm not 20. I'm not, and I'm just fine. And I'm still getting stuff. And it has nothing to do with that. Like, it's okay. And I do feel like that is a thing that weighs on me when I'm like focusing on building this business. Like, fuck, I'm not hustling as much as I usually do. I mean, I'm still doing all of my auditions, and I'm still pay, whatever, still
Yeah.
on all that stuff. But like, I'm not hustling and writing my own things and all that stuff. Like just being okay with not being so like productive.
Mhm.
Like sometimes it's productive to just like, I'll tell you what, this morning my alarm didn't go off. I don't know why. I always get up at 7 o'clock. I was like, what is happening? I feel like I'm sleeping forever. And I looked and it was 10 o'clock.
Oh my goodness.
I thought I was supposed to teach. And then I thought last night I was going to be teaching. That student canceled. So I did, it was fine. I didn't
Yeah.
miss anything. And thank God I was ready for this.
Mhm.
That's why I didn't see your email. Like what? But like, okay, it's okay. Like I needed sleep and I'm gonna go prioritize being with my family. I'm gonna prioritize. I really have always wanted to go to the Telluride Film Festival. I'm gonna do that this year. Just
Yeah.
like prioritizing. Like this is my life.
Mhm.
Like I lived for so long in this like, okay, so when I make it as an actress, like what does that even mean? Then I'll live my life. Okay, no.
Mhm.
Just gonna like I'm gonna live life now like I would like to be living it. Just like
Mhm.
have a home, have friends, have a partner. I'd love to have a partner. Yeah, and do the things I want to do.
Yeah. Live life now. I love that. I think that we do often say, I'll be happy when, I'll finally stop doing this when, I'll be able to look at myself in the mirror and love my body when, I'll do these things when. And really, it's like our lives are happening whether we're ready or not. And so that's a really beautiful sentiment because it does call us back into where we are and let us feel that we're actually living our life. And rest is productive and recharging is productive. And I can tell you right now, the times inspiration strikes and I do write something very beautiful and connected, it's not in times I forced myself to sit down and set a timer and I was like, I'm going to write something really important right now. Like that never works creatively. And so I think that it's so important to be where we are and to give ourselves that space to just slow down a little bit. And then we're often so surprised at what comes through in those moments of kind of quiet surrender and be letting ourselves receive versus always trying so hard to like do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been listening to I love Joe Dispenza.
Mhm.
I've been listening to the book, The Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself
Mhm.
again, and just really thinking about we think like, oh, we need that in order to feel this, but
Right.
it's just the opposite. We need to feel this in order to have that.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, the
Mhm.
chicken before the egg or whatever. So
Yeah. And
um,
to the point of even say partnership, I mean, at the end of the day, I love that my conversations with people end up going so many other directions because my focus isn't find a man or like let's be in relationships, but it is a big theme for women in general. If you are open to partnership, there are conversations around that. And I love kind of the flow that even our conversation has been taking. But exactly as you said, like I need to feel this and then I'll have that. For me, there's this echoing reminder all the time, like love, we often attribute to romantic love, but there is love all over in our life. And we can feel and embody love in so many ways. And being able to embody that feeling only elevates us to call in a romantic love. And we're not coming from a place of lack because we're like, I have so much love in my life. I'm not missing out, or like, there's not a missing limb and I hope it's you. It's like, no, I'm overflowing with love. And I can find love everywhere. So because of that, I'm not going to have scarcity that romantic love isn't out there for me. And I think that's, being more focused on the feeling and embodying the feeling gets us everything that we could ever want.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
I
it's a
love
good acting exercise.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes you do, you fake it till you make it, right? You may feel
Yeah,
silly being like, you hear about those, wake up and just be the person that already has everything that you want. Embody that, walk around as though you already have those things and feel that feeling. And then you will attract those exact things. And it can feel silly. It's like, okay, but I maybe mentally know, and those limiting beliefs and shadows will try to trick you into thinking that you're never going to have it. But practicing that, it does get easier. That muscle gets stronger. And then you're like, oh yeah, like I've started saying, you know, there's no way this won't work out. It might not look exactly how I want it to, but I'm going to be successful at it. And it's beautiful what follows suit.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah, I love that so much. So you did say something beautiful once that I'd kind of like to hear the sentiment and meaning behind. And that was that your ex didn't stay to be saved. He stayed to save you. How did you find some of the like saving within that?
Where did you, what, like, when did I say that?
I found it in, I'm trying to remember. I found it in like an article, I think, and it wasn't those
I
exact
don't know what
words.
the context of that is, because he didn't stay, right? He left.
Yeah.
So, let me see. Now I realize, like, I wrote all these answers to
You're
these
fine.
questions.
It's often so good too when we like do just talk, because then it's not like we're, you know, one of us is on the track for the next question and the other person's saying something. So I like when it's conversational. I can also just kind of cut that question, and I'll look back in my notes and see where I had found that. But we
I
can
feel
just
like it's the opposite, that he didn't
stay, and I could have typed it wrong. Like he didn't stay to save you, but then like you saved yourself or you couldn't save him. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember.
I mean, it's like, what I thought when I saw that was that, because it sounded also similar to, you know, the interview that you played, the clip that like your brother stayed.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was also going to say is that I like wrote all these answers to the questions, and then I realized, like, oh, she probably didn't realize that I did that. You probably haven't even looked at them in the Google.
Yeah, I have not read the answers yet. No.
It's like, oh shit. Well, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I feel bad that I'm not.
Oh no, that's okay. I'll just pivot. I'll ask you another question.
Okay.
And we can kind of jump back in. Okay, let's see. So, kind of as we're nearing the end of our conversation here, what are some things that your story could offer any women listening that feel like they're standing in the ruins right now? Like something in their life has just been pulled out from underneath them and they are unsure of where to go.
Yeah, when I was going through this, for whatever reason, I seem to have a bunch of young women around me, like in their 20s, you know, and they were all telling me like, oh, this happened to my mom and she's just never been the same. And that crushed me, because that is not how I felt. I felt like I'm going to be just fucking fine. And I mean, that's why I immediately just started to write about what was happening to me so that I could document it. And there was also so many women, and I you know, in that piece that I sent you, you know, like, just there was also, so there was a woman at the cell phone store who my ex, for context, as a way to get back at me for paying out my credit card bill that he had racked up some money on. He turned off my cell phone, and it was my cell phone account that we were on together. So I had to go to the store because I couldn't call because I didn't have a phone. And the little girl, she was like probably 20. I said, I want to turn it back on. And she said, oh, no, you don't. You know, she helped me. She's like, don't put it back on that same account, because he'll be able to, he didn't do it the way he should have done it, you know, to really fuck you. You've got to have your own account. And then she said, you know, you're gonna be okay. And I had my husband kept breaking. He left, and so the house was mine. And I changed the locks because he was also coming and taking stuff, taking furniture out of the house that was ours. We hadn't decided. He was like, I need this. I'm taking it. So they told me to change the locks. My lawyers told me to change the locks, and I did. And so he would break in. He broke into the house, or he'd just come into the house. So I had to deal with the alarm and all that. And the alarm lady was like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, you're going to be okay. I want you to be okay. And this is a gift, whether it feels like that or not. It's a gift. You can look at it as the end of everything or the beginning of everything. And it is the beginning of everything. And I really wanted to go into the closet and just stay in the fetal position, but I didn't. I didn't do that. And I hope that we have a responsibility as women to not do that, to not be that, to show other women that you don't need to be in the fetal position when someone fucking leaves you, whatever. That like we have to rewrite that archetype and that archaeology and that like genealogy, whatever it is, like that pattern. Get like no. The price is right. No, we have to stop that. Stop it. It's our duty. Get up off the floor and just put one foot in front of the other. One foot and then the other foot and then the other foot.
Yeah.
And you just do the things and it feels hard, but if you just look at it, if you just break it down into the little steps, like anything that felt like huge to me, like producing all of my freaking documents, like that just felt like there's no fucking way. I cannot. And it's like Anne Lamott, bird by bird, just break it down, just break it down, little by little by little. And I swear it'll get done. And if you need any help, just like email me and I will cheer you on.
I love that. I love being the hype girl for people when they're in that situation that sometimes it almost feels like a little masochistic, but when they have something in their life that falls apart and I'm like, ooh, goody, it is about to get so good and you are going to be okay. And you are going to find layers of strength that you did not know existed. You're going to uncover parts of yourself that you didn't know existed. You're going to come back home to yourself in areas that you thought were long gone, or maybe have just little dark, dusty corners that no light has been turned on. And all of a sudden you're like, wait, this is all within me. I'm no longer putting everything outside of myself. I'm no longer spending time dusting the corners of someone else's soul. I'm learning about myself. And I think that it ends up being a gift. I mean, there's that saying of like one day the universe handed me a box of darkness and it took me years to realize that too was a gift. Like sometimes the things we're handed are not expected. Most of the time they're not. And yet we are okay and we will be stronger on the other side.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, before we close, I would love to hear what your personal version of red nail energy is.
Okay. I want to read this because it feels important and I don't want to rely on my menopausal memory. Okay. So it is not, my version of red nail energy is not about having it all together. It's about showing up anyway. And even when I feel like a total mess, and actually, especially when I feel like a total mess, it's like walking into a room and thinking, okay, yep, I've been crying on the floor. I paid off my ex's debt by waiting on tables till midnight, and now I'm here, and I still belong here. This is where I'm meant to be. Like feeling the fear, using the fear, and pivoting the fear, the take on fear, in that it's not fear, it's excitement. I'm not nervous. I'm excited. I'm about to do something that I really care about. And that's why I'm feeling like I don't know what I'm doing. And yeah, like breathing through the nervousness and doing it anyway. And having that metaphor of of having your nails done, it's like special. It's just for me. It doesn't have to be for anybody else.
Yeah, I love that. So true. It's finding the thing that, because it does start with self, finding the thing that lets you feel whatever it is you're hoping to feel first, and then everything else follows. Whereas again, we've been conditioned, do it for everyone else and then see how it feels. And it's like, that's so backward. We've got to find the things that help us to feel love and capable and strong and resilient and brave and all of those things. And so it's a beautiful way to describe it. If listeners would like to connect with you or follow you, I will link all this in the show notes. But what are
Okay.
some of the best ways they can do that? And then is there any last kind of words you'd like to leave the listeners with?
So I am working on my email, like creating content weekly or bi-monthly or something. So I'd love people to show up there. I mean, Instagram, all those things.
Okay.
Yeah, and I keep people pretty up to date on sightings, Adria sightings.
Yes, we love that.
I have a poem, or it's a quote from Brianna Wiest I thought I would read.
Yes, I love that.
Okay. So I love this. And this is from her book, The Mountain Is You. She says, your new life is going to cost you your old one. It's going to cost you your comfort zone and your sense of direction. It's going to cost you relationships and friends. It's going to cost you being liked and understood. And it doesn't matter. The people who are meant for you are going to meet you on the other side. You're going to build a new comfort zone around the things that actually move you forward. Instead of being liked, you're going to be loved. Instead of being understood, you're going to be seen. All you're going to lose is what was built for a person that you no longer are.
Oh, I love that. What a beautiful sentiment to end on. And Red Nail Energy listeners, as always, you are so loved and seen. And while your new life might cost you the old life you're used to living, both Adria and I promise you that there is something so beautiful on the other side. So if you are facing a big transition, you're not alone. And we will catch you on the next episode. Thanks, Adria.
Thank you.